December 22nd. Birth of the child in a cave. Joseph found a cave nearby and took her inside. He stationed his sons to guard her and went off to look for a Hebrew midwife in the country around Bethlehem. Now I, Joseph, was walking along and yet not going anywhere. I looked up at the vault of the sky and saw it standing still, and then at the wind and saw it arrested in amazement. And the birds of the sky stopped in midair. As I looked on the earth, I saw a bowl lying there, and workers reclining around it with their hands in the bowl. Some were chewing and yet did not chew. Some were picking up something to eat and yet did not pick it up. And some were putting food in their mouths and yet did not do so. Instead, they were all looking upward. I saw sheep being driven along, and yet the sheep stood still. The shepherd was lifting his hand to strike them, and yet his hand did not fall. And I observed the current of the river, and saw goats with their mouths in the water, and yet they were not drinking. And suddenly everything and everybody went on with what they were doing. And I saw a young woman coming down from the hill country, and she asked, "Where are you going, sir?" And I replied, "I am looking for a Hebrew midwife." And she inquired, "Are you an Israelite?" And I told her, "Yes." And she said, "And who's the one having a baby in the cave?" And I said, "My fiancé." And she continued, "She isn't your wife?" And I said to her, "Her name is Mary, and she was raised in the temple of the Lord. I obtained her by lot as my wife, but she is not really my wife. She is pregnant by the Holy Spirit." And the midwife said, "Really?" And Joseph said, "Come and see." And she went with him. As she stood in front of the cave, a bright cloud overshadowed it. The midwife said, "Today I've really been privileged, because my eyes have seen a miracle in that salvation has come to Israel." Suddenly the cloud withdrew from the cave, and a great light appeared inside the cave, so that her eyes could not bear to look. And a little later, that light receded until an infant became visible. He went and took the breast of his mother Mary. Then the midwife shouted, "What a great day this is for me, because I have seen this new miracle." This is not the familiar nativity story that we get out of Matthew and Luke. This is a different version, and there's lots of interesting things about it. For instance, the relationship between Joseph and Mary, and how Joseph is trying to think of how he's going to explain the fact that he has this young, pregnant virgin with him. And now you see in the second reading, the one that we just went through, he confirms with the midwife that he obtained her by lot as a wife, but she's not his wife yet, and yet she's pregnant. Now clearly the midwife is skeptical when she hears that Mary is pregnant by the Holy Spirit, but moments later she witnesses the birth of the child in a halo of light and declares that this is actually a pretty awesome day for her because she's just witnessed something new and miraculous. The other thing that stands out to me in this reading is when Joseph goes out looking for the midwife, and it sounds like time stops. He describes it in various ways. He says he sees workers that are eating from a bowl, but as they're reaching in and bringing stuff to their mouth, they're like frozen. They're holding still. The wind is arrested. And even the current of the river and the goats that are drinking from the river, they're all kind of frozen in time. And then it all starts up again. So I'm not sure what that's about. I wonder if maybe you have some insights into that. If you do, would love to hear from you in the comments below. And we're only a few days away from that special day, so let's keep it going.